guys, it's Kesara, and today I'm going to be reviewing A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer. So this book was so much fun. I read this book in one day, in one sitting. I had to stop a few times to get up and eat and drink some water, but I enjoyed this book so much. So this book is a modern Beauty and the Beast retelling. We start following the character of Ren, who is the crown prince of Emberfall, and he lives in a castle that is constantly in the autumn season. The only person who lives with him is the commander of his guard, Commander Gray. Everyone else has been killed by this monster, and we find out that the monster is actually Ren. When the season changes, he turns into a monster during the winter time. At the end of each season, it starts over at the beginning of autumn all over again, and in order to break the curse, he has to fall in love. So Gray is able to travel to the other side and get girls for him, basically. So we're also following the character of Harper. She is a teenage girl who has cerebral palsy, and she sees Gray on the other side trying to kidnap a girl, and she attacks him, and he ends up taking her instead. And the stakes are raised even higher when Ren finds out this will be the last season. So it's definitely compelling in that aspect. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so it's compelling. So the first thing I want to talk about is the characters in this book. I absolutely love the characters in this book. All of the characters in this book are so relatable. The main character, Harper, is such a strong person, and you can see where she gets her strength from. She gets her strength from fighting as a child, from being sick, and she continues to work past that and do things. There was a quote in there where she is kind of training to like fight more, and people are trying to work around her limp in her leg because she has cerebral palsy, and she had to have surgery on her leg when she was little so that she could walk. All of the people think that her leg is kind of just like a war wound, but she says, I was born this way and I'm going to die this way, so teach me to work around it. It was just kind of such an uplifting attitude that she's not going to like be down on herself. She's going to remain optimistic and still continue to fight through all of her struggles. And I absolutely love that about her, even though she had so many people around her that only wanted to do was protect her. And the other two characters in here are also really easy to understand. Ren has this kind of like calculating nature that you would expect from a politician, which he's the crown prince of this country, so obviously he's kind of a politician. And then the captain of his guard works a lot more on instinct, and you get to know both of them really well, and I just loved reading about them. My only concerns with like character-wise is there is kind of like an antagonist in this story, and we don't really understand her motivations that much. Like, it's kind of mentioned, but the things that are mentioned as her motivations don't seem like they would cause her to do the things that she does. Like, she goes way overboard in being upset about what happened in there. So I feel like there's more to that story, and the last chapter feels kind of like set up to a sequel, so maybe we'll be getting a sequel and learning more about that. But I didn't like the antagonist. And if you don't know me, I love liking my antagonist. Loving to hate, maybe, but I like knowing their mindset and why they're doing things. So I didn't like that we didn't know that. I just wanted more from her. Plot-wise, I really enjoyed this. It was such a fast-paced plot. I was compelled the entire time. I was stuck to the page. It was unputdownable for me. Like, I was reading all the way through. You know that phrase that you sometimes see on those funny mugs that say, bookmarks are for quitters? Yep. For me, this book, like, I got to the end and I was like looking for my bookmark in it. Didn't have one because I never used one. So yes, the plot definitely kept me glued to the page the entire time. World building wise, it was actually pretty well built world. I was a little bit surprised because Brigid Kemmerer is a contemporary author, so she doesn't write fantasy. This was her first like fantasy, and I do think it was really well built. There was one thing about the world building that just didn't make sense for me, that we were never really explained, and that was like the money, because money does come into play a little bit in this book, but the royal family, who is part of this poverty-stricken kingdom now, seems to still have a lot of money, and I don't understand where they're getting this money, because they're not taxing the people. They don't have a master of coin or a financial advisor. They're not getting loans from a bank or anything like that. So I don't understand where all this money is coming from. So I'm not really sure if the economy was fully thought out, but like, that's not a big deal. Like, the rest of this book was so great that it just crossed my mind a couple times, is all. Like, don't take that too much into account, but I do have to take that into account because it is a fantasy book, so it's things that I think about when I read fantasy books. And lastly is the writing style, which Brigid Kemmerer, I love her writing style. She has great detail. It's not overly flowery, but it definitely keeps your attention. I love her voice, and I think she has it really well done in this book as well. I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. I really loved it, and I definitely plan to read more from this author. So if you haven't read this book yet, you should definitely do it. I highly recommend it. It was brilliant. One of my favorite Beauty and the Beast retellings that I have read. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I post videos every Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday, so consider subscribing. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!